Hi, and welcome to this video about Audio Toolkit for Unity, an easy-to-use plugin to get your audio in Unity kickstarted. My name is Chris Pollis, and I would like to cover the following topics. The Audio Toolkit includes a comprehensive demo scene included in the package that demonstrates the most important features of Audio Toolkit. Once we know what Audio Toolkit is capable of, let's jump right in. I'll show you how to set up the Audio Toolkit in your project. Then it's time to add some sounds. I'll explain how Audio Toolkit is structured, categories, audio items, sub-items, etc. In the second video, I'll demonstrate how to add music to your playlist and how to crossfade tracks. And in the end, we'll cover some deeper functions for your sound designers to debug the project and where to find code samples and documentation. Okay, let's get to it. After you've installed the Audio Toolkit from the Asset Store, you'll have the Audio Toolkit folder in the project's root directory. Open the demo folder and the Audio Toolkit demo scene. This scene contains everything Audio Toolkit can do, and it's a great place to look at code, rip it out, and integrate into your own project. So let's see what it can do. Audio Toolkit handles your sound effects and music playlists. The great thing is that sound guys can do most of the work inside the Audio Toolkit without having to ask programmers to implement special functions for them and taking up their time. For example, you can add a lot of sound variety to your sounds like footsteps or bullet shots when you randomize the pitch of a sound each time a sound is played. Audio Toolkit can do that for you without programming. Often you don't want to repeat the same sound over and over. Usually you'll have a collection of 3 to 5 different samples, like we have here for the Scorpion attack. Here you can trigger one sound event and Audio Toolkit chooses one of multiple samples randomly. Again, no programming required. If you want, you can also trigger multiple sounds at the same time, all while keeping pitch randomization and other parameters, or choosing one sound from a pool of sounds, all working. Audio Toolkit loops gapless audio perfectly. Looping soundscapes are a breeze to implement that way. A useful function is setting up a sequence of sounds and playing them. The sequence can be looped. This is great to add some variety to a forest ambience, for example, by adding random bird chirps, or to create a hell of a screaming ambience. More complex tasks are easy to implement too. A looping sound of a machine gun, for example, but when the gun stops shooting, you want a cooldown sound. No problem with Audio Toolkit. Adding music is also covered. You can play a track and seamlessly crossfade to another track. You can define multiple playlists and jump between them, each playlist having its own list of tracks. You can switch or crossfade to the next or previous track and so on. It's all in there. I encourage you to spend some time here and play with the functions. If you want to see how they are called, select the GUI object and open the Audio Toolkit demo script. You'll see that most of these complicated functions, like crossfading, are just a simple function call away. Alright, now let's see how everything is set up. I'll go ahead and create an empty scene. I'll add an empty game object which I name Audio Master. And to that empty object, I attach the component Audio Controller from the Audio Toolkit package. This is the Audio Toolkit's brain, so to speak, and will hold your complete configuration. You can have multiple objects with the Audio Controller component in a scene. A typical setup is to have only core sound effects and music tracks that should stay available even between scenes in the main audio controller. This keeps the global sound and music in memory, and on a scene-by-scene basis you can add additional audio controllers to keep your things organized, small and tidy. These audio items are removed from RAM when the scene unloads. Just remember to check the additional audio controller checkbox for secondary audio controller objects. Alright, in the inspector you see 4 sections for now. The global settings hold settings that apply to every sound played through Audio Toolkit. For example, if you move the volume down, every sound will get quieter. A good place to attach your master audio fader to. An important parameter is the audio object prefab. Basically, Audio Toolkit will instantiate a Unity object with an audio source for every sound it plays. You can make an object with an audio source, make all the adjustments you like, save that as a prefab and reference it here as your template. From here on, every sound will use the audio source settings of the object you referenced here. This is mighty handy, so let me do that quickly. I've already prepared one for demo purposes. Since we talk about sound, let's skip music for now and jump down to the category section. Audio Toolkit uses 3 hierarchy layers: the category, the audio item, and the audio sub-item. The category is just a box that lets you define useful parameters for all enclosed audio items. For example, you could have a category enemies that should hold all enemy sounds. You can override global parameters here. For example, you can define a different audio source prefab to be used for all sounds in the enemies category if you want. A category can hold multiple audio items. An audio item is a sound event that gets triggered, for example a scorpion attack. Here too, you can override higher level parameters and define sound event specific parameters such as pitch, delay and others. And finally, each audio item can contain multiple audio sub-items. The sub-item is the single sound file that gets played, the audio clip so to speak, but more powerful. For example, to add some variety, the Scorpion Attack audio item might have Scorpion Attack 01, 02 and 03 as sub-items and play one of them at random. Here too, you can override parameters that you defined on the audio item level. You really have total control down to the single sound file, but Audio Toolkit lets you define key parameters as high in the hierarchy as possible, so you don't have to micromanage each file one by one. Okay, now that we understand the concept, let's do it. I click on the plus sign to add a new category and name it Enemies. At this point, I don't want to override the global audio settings I have established. Audio Toolkit supports Unity 5's audio mixer. You can route a whole category to a Unity 5 mixer channel if you want. Using the audio mixer together with Audio Toolkit, you can easily set up volume ducking so music and sound effects get quieter when you trigger dialogue. Alright, let's now create an audio item and name it Scorpion Attack. This name has to be globally unique, as you will trigger this sound event by this name. Now you can adjust the volume, set a delay, have a random volume deviation each time Scorpion Attack is triggered, and so on. The documentation will help you dive deeper into these parameters. Okay, we have defined the audio item, but we don't have assigned any audio files yet. So let's add a sub-item and then assign the Scorpion Attack 01 to it. Okay, let's hear it. Press play, and in the audio controller you can test your sound creations by pressing the play button. Alternatively, if you want to just check out one individual sub-item, hit play on the sub-item. Well, this sound plays, but it sounds very repetitive. This fight will get boring quickly. Let's stop and add some volume and pitch randomization. And this just by changing some of the parameters. Let's check it out now. A lot better, but we can still improve this sound by adding multiple sound variations. There are 3 attack sound variations in the demo package. Let me add the other 2 sound files to this audio item as well. The easiest way to add multiple audio clips is to lock the audio controller in the inspector, navigate to your sound files in the project hierarchy, select the clips and click Add Selected Audio Clips. Bang! All added at once. Audio Toolkit gives you super granular control if needed. You can go and define volume randomization, delays, pitch randomization and so on for each of the sound files individually. But you don't have to. You can conveniently batch edit all sub-items at the audio item level. Watch what happens when I set random pitch variations to 5 semitones in the audio item. It inherits this value to all sub-items. And if I'm not happy with a parameter on one of the sounds, I can still go in and override that value manually. See how this R button lights up? This means this value has been overridden and could be reset to its parent value by clicking R for reset. All that I have to make sure now is that the audio toolkit picks one of the sub-items randomly each time this sound is triggered. Configure this using the pick sub-item mode. There are many flexible options to choose from. I'll stay with random, not same twice for now. Let's hear it. Awesome. By the way, a great feature is the copy and paste button. Sometimes you want to reuse a specific configuration. You think it sounds great, but you want to have slightly different settings. Maybe pitch it down way more, remove one of the variations. Select the audio item you want to copy, hit copy audio item, navigate to another category, or directly click paste, and here you go. Make your changes quickly and move on. Audio Toolkit also comes with a built-in trigger component, so in most cases you don't have to write a single line of code to trigger sounds. To demonstrate this, I prepared a standard cube, to which I will now attach the play audio component from the Audio Toolkit package. Choose what Unity event it should listen to. I'll choose start, so the sound triggers as soon as the script gets initialized. Audio ID is the unique name we gave our event earlier. In our case, Scorpion Attack. And as soon as I drag this cube into the scene, sure enough, the sound is played. I could change this to on enable, so my game object can lie in the scene sleeping, and as soon as they are activated, our sound will play. Or the sound should play when the object is destroyed. That's all possible. This gives you a lot of flexibility to trigger your sound as soon as objects are spawned or destroyed, enabled, or if objects are involved in collisions. A lot to play around with. That's all we have time for in this video. We covered a lot of ground regarding sound. In the next video, we'll look into music, playlists, additional windows to help you debug your project, and more. See you there.